Most of us just kind of assume Google indexes the entire internet, right? But honestly, traditional search engines only show us the brightly lit storefronts. They completely miss the back alleys, the forgotten basement doors, and the massive hidden infrastructure that literally keeps the digital world running. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to shatter the illusion of a fully private internet. We'll reveal the invisible math of connected devices, breaking down the wild world of hacker search engines and open source intelligence as it stands right now in 2026. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The hidden map. 2. The 5 pillars of OSINT. 3. Real-world recon workflow. 4. The AI revolution. And 5. Ethics and defense. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the hidden map. What exactly are we looking for when we bypass standard search engines?
Well, to understand this map, we really need to understand our compass first. And that compass is OSINT, or Open Source Intelligence. Basically, this is the practice of gathering and analyzing publicly available info across a massive variety of sources. We're talking DNS records, metadata, Git repositories, and literally billions of internet-connected devices. The absolutely crucial thing to grasp here is that attackers, ethical hackers, and even journalists use these exact same data sources every single day for internet-scale reconnaissance. It's not about Hollywood-style hacking into private servers. It's about finding what is already sitting right there, completely exposed to the public eye.
There is a massive paradigm shift to wrap our heads around here. Traditional search engines, they just index web pages. They care about text, pictures, links. But hacker search engines, they index the actual plumbing of the internet, and they do it in real time. They are out there hunting for open ports, exposed security cameras, misconfigured cloud buckets, SSH servers, and IoT devices, the whole shebang. Basically, if it is plugged into the internet, these platforms are relentlessly crawling it and categorizing it. Okay, section 2, the 5 pillars of OSINT. Let's look at how the pros actually categorize this vast sea of tools. Pillar number 1 is infrastructure intelligence. These are the tools that map the public internet to find exposed services. Shodan is probably the heavy hitter you've heard of here, and here's the core difference. Instead of searching for words, you're searching for devices. A really specific query in Shodan could instantly reveal, say, misconfigured Kubernetes dashboards all over the globe. Then you've got Censys, which takes a slightly different approach, focusing heavily on mapping cloud assets through TLS and SSL certificate data. Throw in FOFA and ZoomEye for rapid global enumeration and incredibly powerful web fingerprinting, and you've basically got the foundational toolkit for any red team's attack surface discovery. Moving to Pillar 2, identity and breach intelligence. Look, humans are almost always the weakest link, right? And honestly, credential reuse remains a massive security nightmare in 2026. Tools like Hunter are great for discovering professional email addresses tied to a specific domain, which is super vital for mapping executive exposure. Have I Been Pwned lets you check if those emails or passwords have been dumped in any known breaches, and DeHashed takes it a step further by indexing the actual leaked credentials themselves. For SOC teams, security operations centers, these identity tools are an absolute game changer. They use them to track if their own employees' passwords are just floating around the dark web waiting to be exploited. Which actually leads to a totally wild point. Get this, it might seriously shock you, but developers routinely and completely by accident leak highly sensitive API tokens, secrets, and cloud credentials directly into public code repositories. Seriously, we're talking about the veritable keys to the kingdom, just sitting out there in the open for anyone to grab, all because someone forgot to hide a configuration file before hitting commit. And that perfectly tees up Pillar 3, web and code intelligence. Because of those giant human blunders we just talked about, security teams and attackers both use tools like grep.app to scour massive amounts of public source code, hunting for those accidentally leaked AWS keys or internal endpoints. URLScan is another brilliant tool here. It analyzes website behavior just like a real browser would, tracking HTTP requests and third-party services, which makes it a total goldmine for investigating phishing or malware. And finally, crt.sh lets you search SSL certificate transparency logs. Why does that matter? Because it often reveals hidden subdomains, like dev or staging environments, that were absolutely never meant for the public. Now, imagine you're a defender, and you've got thousands of alerts blowing up your security dashboard. You kind of have to ask yourself, is this IP actually targeting us specifically, or are they literally just scanning everyone on the internet? Alert fatigue is a massive, very real issue for security teams who are just constantly bombarded by this internet background noise. To answer that exact question, we look to Pillar 4, vulnerability intelligence. Tools like GreyNoise are complete lifesavers here because they specifically filter out that random background internet scanning, letting you focus on the actual targeted attacks. Meanwhile, Vulners acts like this giant database correlating publicly known security vulnerabilities, CVEs, directly with public exploits and threat activity. And FullHunt ties it all together by discovering subdomains and identifying their external vulnerabilities. Finally, we reach Pillar 5, Deep OSINT and Exposure Mapping. These tools go incredibly deep. WiGLE, for example, maps out physical Wi-Fi networks and Bluetooth devices globally using crowdsourced geolocation data. It's kind of like a Google Street View, but for invisible radio waves. IntelligenceX preserves historical internet snapshots, so even if a leak gets deleted off the dark web, it might still be completely searchable here. LeakIX steps in to specifically scan for exposed data like open Redis servers and ransomware notes. SecurityTrails tracks historical DNS data to find forgotten infrastructure. And then there's SpiderFoot. It completely automates this massive data collection across hundreds of these sources into one single unified workflow. Okay, moving on to Section 3, Real-World Recon Workflow. Having the tools is one thing, but what is the actual step-by-step process professionals use to chain these lenses together in the field?
Well, here is the 5-step playbook ethical hackers use to systematically map an attack surface. Step 1. Discover the infrastructure. You use Shodan or Censys to find exposed assets. Step 2. Enumerate domains. You fire up crt.sh and SecurityTrails to uncover hidden subdomains. Step 3. Analyze the web technologies running on those domains using URLScan and grep.app to hunt for leaked secrets. Step 4. Check identity exposure with Hunter and Have I Been Pwned. Are any linked accounts compromised? And finally, Step 5. Correlate those vulnerabilities using Vulners and prioritize the real threats with GreyNoise. It's a brilliantly methodical flow that just peels away a target's anonymity layer by layer.
But as we know, the landscape never stops evolving. Let's look at Section 4, the AI revolution, and how AI-powered recon is completely transforming this space. Here in 2026, AI has taken reconnaissance from a very manual, step-by-step slog into an incredibly fast, autonomous process. Modern AI systems can instantly correlate data across multiple OSINT sources, literally doing in seconds what used to take a human analyst days. They automatically flag risky exposures and can even generate complex, visual attack graphs showing exactly how an attacker could pivot through a network. With LLMs and AI agents fully integrated into SOC workflows, we're seeing the rise of totally autonomous threat intelligence pipelines. It's faster, it's way smarter, and it definitely requires defenders to be more agile than ever before. With all this immense power at our fingertips, we absolutely must talk about the rules of engagement. This brings us to our final section, ethics and defense. The tools we've discussed today are incredible, but they are absolutely double-edged swords. The line between legal reconnaissance and a literal cybercrime depends entirely on authorization and intent. You must always follow authorization requirements, stick to privacy laws, and practice responsible disclosure. On the flip side, these tools must never be used for unauthorized intrusion, credential abuse, stalking, or illegal surveillance. Ethical hacking guidelines exist for a reason, to keep the internet safe, and crossing that line transforms you from a security researcher straight into a cyber criminal. So, how do we use all this for good? Here's the defensive playbook for security teams. You've got to use these exact same tools to continuously monitor your own attack surface before the bad guys do. Track your team's email exposure in breached datasets. Regularly audit your public repositories so your devs aren't accidentally leaking API keys. Use OSINT to discover your organization's forgotten or unmanaged shadow IT. And really, embrace the future by automating these OSINT platforms directly into your SIM pipelines and SOC workflows. Ultimately, modern cybersecurity basically boils down to this one fundamental truth. You can't protect what you can't see. Every single exposed server, leaked credential, or forgotten subdomain leaves a footprint. For defenders, OSINT provides a level of visibility that was literally impossible to achieve just a few short years ago. Mapping this hidden internet isn't just some fascinating exercise anymore. It is an absolute necessity for survival. Which leaves us with one final crucial thought for you to chew on today. Knowing that all these automated tools are relentlessly mapping the invisible internet every single second of the day, when was the exact last time you checked your own public footprint?